Hello guys, how are you doing? Let me trust you're doing good at this hour. It's a very beautiful afternoon. Today, I'd like us to discuss about the various components of a laptop and their functions. It's good before you enroll into the laptop repair course, you need to understand what are some of the functions of the laptop components. So today, we are going to discuss about those components and allow me to share my screen. Allow me to share my screen so that you can discuss what are these components. So we have lots of components and their functions. I have the notes, and that's why we are going to discuss these notes together. A laptop is made up of many internal and external components. Yes, and the external components are what we call general components. And all of these components works together. All of them works together, and all of them still are connected to the motherboard. Yes, be it the screen, be it the keyboard, be it the battery, be it the what, be it the touchpad, any component of a laptop, its central its central connector is the motherboard. That's why it's called the motherboard because that's the mother of every component of a laptop. I believe that is where they get the name mother. You know, a mother is someone who take care of all the other uh, parts, or it takes care of everybody. So let's start with the general interface laptop components. These components allow the user to interact with the laptop and connect it to other devices. You can start with the screen. A screen is a component of a laptop which gives us the visual output after the input. You know, when the user input in some keys or put some commands through the keyboard, we get the results after it has been processed by the processor. It is sent back to us through the screen. That's why we get the results from the screen. Yes, and in case this part of the this component of a laptop is broken, you can replace it. If it is cracked, black, or it is flickering, yes, you can replace it, and then you will have a new screen. Next is what's called the power adapter, or the charging, or the charge, or the it's called sometimes called the AC adapter. So this is the power adapter which converts the AC power supply to DC power supply. You know, every electronic devices uses what's called the DC power supply, that is the direct current. But the power we have in the wall, or the wall socket, it's applied to us by what's called the AC, alternating current. And any electronic device doesn't work in an AC current. That's why we need this adapter to convert that power from AC to DC. It supplies power from the wall socket to the port of the laptop. That's the charging port, which allows the power into the motherboard to be used in powering on the laptop. It also charges the battery. If this adapter is faulty, it's recommended you replace it because if you don't replace, it might short your laptop or it might short your port. As you can see, these are some of the few examples of the laptop adapters. You have the Lenovo round yellow pin. You have the Lenovo USB yellow pin. We have what this is a Type C adapter, and I believe this is also the blue pin adapter. We have several of them. We have this adapter, we have the big pin for Dell, big pin for HP, and so on and so on. Next is what's called the battery. Battery, this is the component of a laptop which stores powers, or which it reserves power to be used in later use. And it also supplies power to the laptop when not plugged in. That's why I say it supplies power to the laptop when unplugged. When you disconnect the power adapter or the charger, the laptop powers on through the battery. It also stores power for the laptop, replaced when the laptop won't hold charge or dies quickly. Yes, sometimes you find that these are some of the examples of the laptop batteries. They have what's called the lithium ion and lithium polymer cells. Those cells store energy in form of chemical cells, in form of chemical. That chemical energy is converted into electrical energy and it is sent in the motherboard to be used in charging the battery. As you can see, these are some of the examples. Inside these components, you have the battery cells, and those battery cells are they have what's called the lithium ions, or sometimes you find that they have lithium polymers. Next component of a laptop is the keyboard. Keyboard allows the user to input fire keys. Yes, it enables us to put the command into the computer. This is the only way whereby you can communicate with the computer by keying in the commands. or by communicating with the laptop. If the keys are non-responsive or damaged, it's recommendable you change them. So these are some of the examples of the keyboard I believe you've seen in your laptop or you've seen from your workplace or anywhere. For the desktops, you might find that they have an external keyboard, but the laptops they have inbuilt keyboard. That's why you can see this one. These are some of the examples of the keyboard of a laptop. Then, apart from the keyboard, we have the storage devices, that is the HDDs and the SSDs. This one stores the operating system and files for the user. In case these storage devices, that is the HDD and SSD, are faulty, you would replace. Or if you want to upgrade them for better performance and storage, you can also replace them. Sometimes these hard disk and SSDs, you might find that they have lower storage than you preferred. That's why you can decide to upgrade. This is the hard disk. This is the hard disk. Hard disk uses what's called magnetic disk. It has a magnetic disk which stores the data. Then these other chips, for example, this M2.5 SSD, they use what's called the NAND. You have NVMe SSDs like this ones. They also use the NAND. This one have more speed as compared to this one because this one depends on a spinning disk to store information, and sometimes you might find that the motor of that disk is worn out. That's why it might be slower. That's why the hard disk sometimes you find them they're slow in loading the operating system. But for this one, they're using electronic chips called the NANDs, and that's what makes them uh, faster than the hard disk. Apart from the storage devices, we have the chassis. The chassis is also called the casings or the housing. So this is the outer shell of the frame of a laptop that houses and protects all the internal components. Yes, we have the internal component of a laptop, and then we have the external one. So the component which is holding the internal components, it was called the chassis. It's generally not standardized across the models. That is why a laptop specific replacement parts are needed. Yes, when you want to replace maybe 840 G6 mother casings, you need another one which is exactly 840 G6. You cannot use the chassis for 820 G3 to replace for 820 G2 or 840 G3. You need a specific for that laptop. That's why we say they are not standardized across the models. Next is what's called the touchpad. The touchpad, trackpad, mousepad is one and the same thing. It is used to control the operation in a screen through the cursor. In case if these touchpad are not responding, you can replace them. Yes, it is recommended that you can replace them if they are responsive or damaged. Mostly these touchpads are damaged by liquid. Yes, most of the time the liquid damage onto your laptop can affect these touchpads. And that's why you might find it's not responding because they are damaged by the liquid. In case if they are damaged, you replace them. Next is what's called the cooling system. To prevent overheating of a laptops, they have what's called the cooling system. Some of these systems which are responsible for cooling your laptop, we have the cooling fans, then you have the heat sinks to dissipate the heat generated by the CPU and the GPU. Modern laptops often rely on heat pipes to move the heat away from the internal components efficiently. For example, you can see here we have some of the cooling system of a laptop. As you can see, this one it's containing the fan. This one have a big fan and a big heatsink to ensure that the even distribution of it from the CPU, GPU into the fan to be dissipated out. Yes, you can see this one's contain a very big heat pipes. So these are core heat pipes. Even this one, you can see this one. Yes, these are the heat pipes of this heatsink. You need a large surface area for that so that it can ensure that you have large amount of services which ensures the cooling of your laptop. Here is the fan. Yes. Then next, after the cooling system of a laptop, you are going into number 9, which is the memory. Spare the random access memory for your laptop. It's a form of temporary storage. It's also a high-speed memory for the data currency used in your processor. Yes, actually, this is the memory of your CPU. You might have also the memory for the GPU, which is called the VRAM. The VRAM stands for Video Random Access Memory. But this one, which is memory RAM, is for the CPU. When the CPU is turned off, the data in the RAM is erased. That's why we say the storage which is found within the RAM is non-volatile. Most laptop uses smaller memory modules called the SODIMMs, while some newer and thinner laptops may have memory soldered directly into the motherboard. Many allow for RAM upgrades. Yes, sometimes you might find your computer have RAM soldered on the board, and you might find that it's also having the slot for the external RAM stick. You can upgrade by adding up another uh, and by adding another RAM stick. So these are some of the types of RAMs. As you can see, this one you have, this is DDR, I believe this is DDR2, DDR2, DDR2. As you can see, this cap here. Yes, this one tells me this is a DDR2, DDR2. You can see this one is longer than this one, so probably this is DDR3. This one is a DDR4. Yes, it's normally it is written on this sticker. You will find that in your RAM stick, it is written whether it is DDR3, DDR3L, PC4, or DDR4, or PC5. Yes, this one's also, I believe this one is PC5, DDR5. This one is PC4. Yes, these are some of the types of RAM. As you can see, this one is 2 GB. This is PC2. So this one is PC2, and I believe that this one is also PC2, PC2, PC3. So we have like six types of RAM. We have PC1, it's also called DDR1, PC2, DDR3, DDR4, DDR5, DDRs. They haven't come up with the DDR6, but I believe they are on the verge of coming up with one. Then number 10, you have the ports and connections. Laptop include various ports for connecting the external devices. The examples of these ports, you have the USB ports. Yes, it could be USB-C, USB-A, or whichever USB ports you have for connecting peripherals, storage, and other devices. You have HDMI or display port for connecting external monitors or TVs. So you have also what's called the FPGA port, but that one, the FPGA port is normally for the older laptops. Currently, they have come up with the Type C and the HDMIs. You have the headphone jack for audio output, Ethernet port for wired internet connection, uh, though becoming less common because of wireless connections and so on and so on. Next is wireless card. An internal wireless or the Bluetooth module allows for wireless connectivity. If defective, replace it. As you can see, these are some of the examples of the Wi-Fi card or the wireless card. As you can see, we have this one, we have this one. Yes, some are big, some are. So this one is for older generation laptops. This one is for newer and newer. As you can see, this one also is for the latest generation. That's why you can see it is soldered on the motherboard. So this card here is soldered on the motherboard. Unlike the rest, this one you can replace from here. Yes, you can also have the one which you can plug here onto your ports and can also connect your wireless connection. Then apart from that, we have what's called what? Uh, the next we have the internal components. So I believe we are done with the external components of the laptops. We are now discussing about the internal components. These are the components which are found on the motherboard. The following parts are critical to laptop's operation, and these are the components which are contained within the laptop motherboard. That's why they are critical. Why? Because it affects the motherboard directly. Number one, we have the CPU. The CPU is the central processing unit of your laptop. So the processor, that's the CPU. It's the brain of your computer that handles and executes the instructions. Laptop CPUs are designed for lower power consumption and produces less heat than the desktop CPUs. Yes, the laptop CPUs, they are higher performing, and also they have what? They have less heat as compared to the CPUs. Next, we have the most common manufacturers or Intel. We have Intel Core i series. We have i3, i5, i7, i9, and so on, so on. I believe the latest we have like i13. Next is the Intel graphics technology and AMD Ryzen series accelerated processing unit, that is the APU. So other manufacturers exist suggest the Apple series. Yes, you have other manufacturers for the Apple processors. Yes, these are some of the examples of the processors we have in the market. I believe this is the processor for the MacBook. You have AMD Ryzen. These are the Intel i3, Intel i7, and so on and so on. Next is the graphics. Graphics, this is the GPU. This is the graphics processing unit, also called the video card or the GPU. The graphics card enhances the clarity of images in a laptop display. Second, let's see, we have two types. We have what's called iGPU. iGPU is what's called the integrated graphics. This one is normally found within the Intel CPU. And this iGPU, it's called the Intel UHD. Then you have the DGPU. The DGPU, this is dedicated graphics. Normally, this is the graphics which is designed or dedicated to be performing only the work of enhancing the clarity. This one, it is integrated within the CPU. Examples of this DGPU, you have NVIDIA or GeForce RTX series, AMD, this is Radeon RX series. Yes, so these are some of the examples, GTX, NVIDIA. Yes. Next is what's called the PCH. The PCH is a chipset within the laptop motherboard, which contains two chipsets within it. This two-in-one chipset. It contains what's called the south bridge and the north bridge. The south bridge is a section within this PCH which is responsible for controlling all the inputs and output devices. That is, the speakers, the keyboards, the ports, the Wi-Fi cards, the DVD players, the SSD, not SSD, but the what else? The HDDs. While the node bridge is a chipset within the PCH which is responsible for ensuring that uh, the CPU is communicating with high-speed components like the RAM and SSD. So within this PCH, so these are the PCH. You have this one, this one. Then we have a PCH which is also integrated within the CPU. This smaller part here, that is the PCH. This is the PCH. This is the CPU. So the smaller part is the PCH. So a group of integral circuits that manage the flow of data between the CPU and other components. Yes. So this PCH ensures that the data between the CPU and other components are running smoothly. Next, I have the BIOS UEFI, a non-volatile memory chip containing the system firmware. This is a basic input-output system, unified extensive firmware. So this software runs during startup, the boot process to initialize the hardware components and load the operating system. So these are examples of the BIOS chips within various laptop motherboard. We might have different types of them. As you can see, this one is smaller than this. This one is flat. This one it has some pins. This one is the same as this one, and this one is bigger enough. This one is bigger enough. So these BIOS chips, they vary from motherboard to motherboard. You might have a bigger one with bigger capacities. You might have a smaller one with bigger capacities, and so on and so on. So those are some of the examples of the chips, and those are some of the examples of the chips which are found within the. So next, we're going to look into the CMOS battery or RTC. RTC, this is a real-time clock for the BIOS battery, a small coin cell battery that powers a separate block of memory. Yes, to retain the system configuration settings like the date and time when the main power is off. Yes. So this CMOS battery, these are specific designed batteries within the laptop motherboard, which ensures that the system runs even if you shut down your laptop. That's why when your computer is off, we'll have some system running in the background. For example, the time, because this is the real-time clock. So we say these are the real-time clock. So this is the system which ensures that even though you switched off your laptop, sometimes your system might be still running in the background. And this CMOS battery, you might find that it has about 3 voltage. Next is the connector interface. Connector interface, these are the connectors which ensures that the other devices are connecting within the motherboard. For example, we have what? This is the display the connector. So it's connector interface. You have the keyboard connector, you have the touchpad connector, and so on and so on. Even this power port connector, this is the keyboard power port. It's also connector interface. So connector interface, these are the connectors which ensures that other devices are connecting within the motherboard. Next is power management IC. Power management IC, these are the integrated circuits which are responsible for power deliveries. Yes, these are the ICs which ensures that they manages power from which ensures that they manages power and deliver power to the desired part or the desired components within the laptop motherboard. They can either step down the voltage or step up the voltage depending on how much is needed by the specific part of the motherboard. For example, let's have a look at some of the examples of the PMICs. We have what's called the Maxim, you have ITE, you have HINI, ITE, you have the BQ, you have the Intersil IC, then you have the Intersil IC. So this one is Intersil 9538BH, this one is Intersil 62883 Hertz, this one is BQ 2477777. Then in E, you might have Newton. So these ones, they ensure that the power is circulated within the motherboard. So they manage all the power within the motherboard, not directly, but by sending enabling signals to these other PMICs. This is the charging IC, this is the charging IC, this is the charging IC. But these three big ones, so the big ICs within the motherboard, they are called the SIOs. They're responsible for managing power within the motherboard by sending signals to the actual ICs which control the power. Next, we have the audio network chips. So these are chips responsible for conversion of digital sound to speakers for amplifications. Yes, these are the audio chips. So the audio chips or the audio codec, they are responsible for conversion of sound from digital to analog sounds for amplification. It can also handle the network connectivity. Its failure leads to audio and network problems. So in case you have an issue with your network or with your audio, you might have to consider these ICs. To identify those ICs, you might find most of them they are written ALC. As you can see, this one ALC or the Realtek RTL. Yes, these RTL ICs, these are the network chips. ALC, these are the sound chips. It is easier for you to identify those chips. Next, you have the SMD capacitors, compact leadless capacitors designed to be mounted and soldered directly onto the surface of the circuit board, that is the BCB, printed circuit board. So these capacitors, the most common ones, you have multi-layer ceramic capacitors. These are called MLCCs. You have tantalum capacitors. MLCCs are this one. Do you see this? Yes, these are called MLCC. That is a multi-layer ceramic capacitor. This one are called tantalum capacitors. These are the tantalum capacitors. And these last ones, these are called electrolytic capacitors. Sometimes you might hear that we call them chemical capacitors because they have chemical in it. So these capacitors ensures the steady flow of current within the motherboard. They also store some charges within the circuit so that it can be used in later time. Yes, it also ensures stability of power within the circuit, the power lines. Next, we have the SMD resistors. SMD resistors is a rectangular electronic component mounted directly on the surface of the BCB to limit the flow of electrical current. Yes, as you can see, these components, in fact, they have some writings on them. In my previous video, I made a video explaining how to test for these resistors. This value, what does this mean? This value of this resistor, it means this is 8 millimeter by length by 5 millimeter. So that is the length. This is the size of this resistor. While for this one, these are the measurements of their resistance. 1RO, it means that is 1.0 resistance, 1.0 resistance, 1.0 resistance. This one, which is R100, this is 0.1, this is 0.1 resistance ohms, 0.1 ohms. This one is 1.0 ohms. 5R60, this is 5.6 ohms. 103, it means that is 10 times 10 raised to 3. So this is 100 kilo ohms. Yes, this is 100 kilo ohms. Yes, and so on and so on. I don't want to go into details because I already made the video about testing these resistors. And we say the resistors and it limits the amount of current passing over or crossing over the power lines. Next is the MOSFETs. MOSFETs, these are electronic components used primarily as the voltage control switch. Yes, in fact, they are co-power switches. It switches power from one from one side to the other, switch power from this point to the other. Yes, it controls the flow of current between the source and drain terminal based on the voltage applied to the gate terminals. Yes, as you can see, the voltage can be switched from the drain to the source, or can be switched from the source to the drain, depending on the type of the MOSFET you're talking about. We said we have two types of MOSFET, N channel and P channel. So depending on which channel you're talking about, that's when you can know which section is switching power to where. Next is the coils. Most common inductors are stacked inductors and thin film inductors. Yes, they are essential for power and signal management, acting as a filters to smooth out the power supply ripple, voltage regulations, and remove high frequency noise. Yes, they're responsible for ensuring you have a steady, uh, non-noisy power flow. So these ones are called thin film inductors. These ones are called the stacked inductors. As you can see, they are stacked. Yes, it is coiled. Yes, that's why they are called coils. Yes, they have inductors in they are coiled inductors. So this one is stacked, and these ones are thin film inductors. Next is the fuser. The components are used to protect other components in the BCB against overcurrent and short circuit. Fuse is to act as a weak link in the circuit. If the current exceeds the safe level, the fuse element melts, breaking the circuit. Then that is how the other part of the laptop is protected. Because in case the current exceeds the limit which is needed, you will find that the fuses, the filament within this fuse, here within the fuse, you have a wire running from this point to the other side. So in case the current exceeds the limit which is needed, that component melts. Once it melts, it cuts off the power. It opens the power, meaning there will be no voltage or there will be no current running from this side to the other side. Thus, the other side whereby the voltage was to go is protected. So breaking the circuit prevent further damage to the component on the motherboard. That is how the fuses protect the part of the laptop. And then you have the power lines for the power lines and the power rails. This is one of the same thing. If you hear the power lines, the power lines, the power rails, that's one of the same thing. These are not actually the components, but the pathways for the current within the laptop motherboard. Yes, as you can see, these lines here. Yes, can you see these tracks? Yes, those are called the power lines. Those tracks are called the power lines. Those tracks are called the power lines. They ensure that the current are passing along that lanes or the routes. Those are the routes at which the voltage flows through. Yes, guys, it has been some of lengthy video. I tried as much as possible to speed up. Yes, I tried as much as possible to speed up this discussion, and I believe so far at least you understood something about the components of a laptop. So, guys, thank you so much for listening to me. I really, really, really appreciate your patience. And please, guys, in case you have an issue with your laptop, or in case you know someone who has a problem with his or her laptop, you can just connect them to us so that we might be able to help them to fix their laptop. Again, guys, we do laptop repairs. We do laptop repairs. So in case you're also interested in learning about laptop repairs, you can just contact us. We can make an arrangement and see how we can teach you. We teach the laptop repair course. So guys, thank you so much. And please, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please, 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 I'm still pleading with you. Please subscribe to this. Share with your friends who are interested in learning about laptop. And we can grow together as a big family. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next video.